Imagine waking up to learn that the world's most famous university, Harvard, has just been banned from enrolling foreign students. Thousands of the brightest minds, suddenly in limbo, families scrambling for answers, careers derailed overnight. Now, add a twist worthy of a Netflix drama. Among those affected isn't just any student, but Princess Elisabeth of Belgium, first in line to a European throne. This isn't just about visas. It's about power, prestige, and the global flow of ideas. How did America's academic crown jewel become a battleground for politics, a place where a royal future and the future of education collide? Welcome to a story where university gates become front lines, presidents wield executive orders like swords, and the fate of global education, and billions of dollars, hangs in the balance. If you thought the next great geopolitical showdown would be over oil or artificial intelligence, think again. It's happening right now in the lecture halls of Harvard. And what happens next could reshape how the world's talent moves, learns, and innovates. Let's dive deeper. To understand the impact of this seismic moment, we need to rewind. International students have been the lifeblood of American universities for decades. Each year, nearly 1 million students cross oceans and borders to study in the United States. Harvard alone hosts over 6,700 foreigners from more than 100 countries, making up a staggering 27% of its student body. These aren't just statistics. They are future leaders, entrepreneurs, and scientists whose ideas and tuition help fuel American innovation. It's not just about prestige. The numbers are jaw-dropping. International students inject over $43.8 billion into the U.S. economy each year. That's more than the annual GDP of some small countries. Think about what that money means. Rent paid, groceries bought, tuition fees, and yes, even taxes. Local businesses near campuses thrive because of them. And then there's Harvard, the Ivy League titan whose crimson shield symbolizes academic excellence worldwide. Its endowment? Over $50 billion, bigger than the GDP of nations like Iceland or Bolivia. For generations, Harvard has attracted the best and brightest from every continent. The presence of students like Princess Elisabeth isn't just a quirk, it's a signal to the world. America is where tomorrow's leaders are made. But behind the hallowed walls, a different tension has been brewing. The world of U.S. higher education is no stranger to politics. Yet 2024's showdown between Harvard and the Trump administration marks a turning point. On a seemingly ordinary Thursday, everything changed. The White House revoked Harvard's ability to enroll international students, citing national security concerns and alleged campus radicalism. For Princess Elisabeth, who had completed her first year in Harvard's Master of Public Policy program and was spending the summer in Belgium, this meant the surreal prospect of not being able to return for her second year. For thousands of others, it meant a choice between uprooting their lives or abandoning their dreams entirely. This action should serve as a warning to all universities wanting to enroll foreign students, declared Kristi Noem, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. The message was clear: admit foreign students, and you may face federal wrath. But the universities didn't back down. Within 24 hours, Harvard filed a lawsuit in federal court in Boston, arguing the government's decision violated the First Amendment and would have an immediate and devastating effect for Harvard and more than 7,000 visa holders. University President Alan Garber stood before cameras stating, "The government's action violated the First Amendment and would have an immediate and devastating effect." Meanwhile, the U.S. administration doubled down. White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson dismissed Harvard as a hotbed of anti-American, anti-Semitic, pro-terrorist agitators. The rhetoric was fierce, the stakes immense. As Harvard's legal team prepared for battle, international students worldwide watched in disbelief, wondering if they would be forced to abandon years of hard work. The repercussions echoed far beyond Cambridge, Massachusetts. For U.S. universities reliant on foreign talent and tuition, the financial risk was monumental. An estimated $2.7 billion in federal funding now hung in the balance. Local economies dependent on foreign students braced for aftershocks. At the same time, global perceptions of American openness and opportunity, built over centuries, were fracturing in real time. The personal stories behind the numbers are as vivid as they are heartbreaking. Think of Princess Elisabeth, heir to the Belgian throne, now forced to decide whether her dreams in Cambridge would end before they truly began. Harvard's global network of future leaders and innovators was suddenly on shaky ground. In the words of Harvard Kennedy School professor Pippa Norris, this halt is going to benefit Oxford and Cambridge and many other academic institutions. A Harvard student, Leo Gurdain, voiced the sentiment on campus. Every tool available they should use to try and change this. It was a clarion call to resist an action many saw as at odds with the ideals of a free and open society. But this conflict is about more than individual dreams and tuition dollars. At its heart lies a profound battle over what America stands for. Will the U.S. continue to attract the world's best minds? Or will new barriers drive away the innovators, leaders, and influencers who made American universities great? The stakes are massive. Experts warn that if the ban sticks, America risks a devastating brain drain. International students could flock to more welcoming countries like the UK, Canada, or Australia. As Mao Ning, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, warned, the relevant actions by the U.S. side will only damage its own image and international credibility. Universities from Europe to Asia are watching closely, ready to pounce on the opportunity to lure away top-tier students and researchers. Already, elite institutions in the UK and continental Europe are fielding inquiries from anxious Harvard students. Some see opportunity, a chance to rival or even surpass American academic dominance for the first time in a century. And the economic cost? It's not just Harvard that stands to lose. With international students gone, local tax revenues could plummet. Restaurants, housing, and small businesses built around university life would take a direct hit. It's a scenario that threatens to ripple through the U.S. economy for years. But there's a deeper layer, America's soft power. For decades, the U.S. has enjoyed unrivaled influence, not just through its economy or military, but through its universities. Political elites, Nobel Prize winners, and world leaders have passed through Harvard's gates. What does it mean if those gates now close to the world? As Harvard gears up for a legal showdown, three dramatic paths now lie ahead. First, a legal victory for Harvard. If the university prevails, it could set a powerful precedent limiting federal power over America's private institutions. Universities would gain new protections for academic freedom and foreign students, a renewed sense of security. America's reputation as a global magnet for talent could be restored. Second, the ban stands. If Harvard loses, the consequences could be disastrous. The world's brightest minds might look elsewhere to pursue their dreams. America could witness an exodus of young talent, an unprecedented brain drain that cripples its universities and erodes its innovative edge. As Pippa Norris notes, this halt is going to benefit Oxford and Cambridge and many other academic institutions. Third, the conflict escalates. Polarization deepens, and universities become new battlegrounds in America's ongoing culture wars. Education, once a unifying force, morphs into a wedge issue, fueling distrust and division. All eyes are now on the federal courts. Can Harvard's legal eagles outmaneuver the government's hardliners? Will the world's most famous princess be allowed to return to class? And will America continue to be the destination for the world's most ambitious minds? Or has a new era of closed doors already begun? As the standoff intensifies, one thing is clear. The outcome won't just determine the fate of a royal student or a handful of elite scholars. It could reshape the global order, redrawing the map of where ideas and opportunity flow next. But the real question remains. In a world where education is power, who gets to decide who learns, who leads, and who is left behind? As the world's cameras turned to the federal courthouse in Boston, the future of American higher education hung in the balance. Could Harvard, one of the world's most prestigious universities, overcome the unprecedented ban on enrolling international students? And if not, what would unfold next, both inside and far beyond America's borders? Let's imagine three alternate futures, each rippling across the globe in its own way. In the first, Harvard emerges victorious. A federal judge rules that the government's ban violates the First Amendment, setting a powerful legal precedent. Academic freedom is reaffirmed. Other universities breathe a sigh of relief. International students, including Princess Elisabeth of Belgium, are able to return, filling Harvard's iconic halls with the global energy that has shaped American leadership for over a century. Harvard's president, Alan Garber, addresses a hopeful crowd. This ruling affirms our commitment to open inquiry and diversity, not just as a principle, but as a pillar of American greatness. But what if the court rules the other way? In this second scenario, the ban stands. The shockwaves are immediate. More than 7,000 international students find themselves in academic limbo. Some rush to transfer to Oxford, Cambridge, Toronto, or Singapore. U.S. universities, stripped of their global mix, face a sudden brain drain. Innovation slows. Nobel laureates in the making choose labs elsewhere. the $43.8 billion international students contribute to the U.S. economy begins to evaporate, hitting not just universities but businesses, real estate, and even local cafes in college towns. A third, even more volatile future could play out. The Harvard case becomes a flashpoint in national politics. Higher education is pulled deeper into America's culture wars, with lawmakers and pundits framing the debate not just as a legal or financial issue, but as a battle for the soul of the nation. Protests erupt on campuses. International students, once a source of pride, are caught in political crossfire. Trust in American institutions erodes, and the world watches with disbelief as the idea of U.S. academic supremacy is called into question. Already the effects are being felt. In Belgium, royal advisors anxiously monitor the situation. Across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, prospective students and their families weigh the risks of applying to American universities. The Chinese Foreign Ministry makes an unusually sharp statement. The U.S. is only damaging its own image and international credibility. But behind these headlines, something more complex is happening. The ban has forced universities, students, and even governments to ask, what is the real value of an American education today? And what happens when the gates to that education close, suddenly and without warning? For students, the uncertainty is overwhelming. Leo Gerdin, a Harvard graduate student from Sweden, vents his frustration to reporters. My future, my research, my friends, everything I've built is on the line. Every tool available they should use to try and change this. For many, Harvard is more than a campus. It's a launchpad to global influence and lifelong networks. The ban also puts billions at risk. Harvard alone manages an endowment exceeding $50 billion, with federal funding at stake topping $2.7 billion. The loss of international students isn't just an academic or cultural blow, it's an economic one. According to the U.S. Department of Commerce, foreign students help create jobs, spark innovation, and even support local businesses, from restaurants to rental housing. In this crisis, however, opportunity emerges, for both American rivals and for students themselves. With the U.S. suddenly unpredictable, other nations move swiftly. The U.K. relaxes its student visa requirements. Canada launches a campaign touting its openness to global talent. Asian universities, once seen as second-tier, begin to attract star students and professors. As Pippa Norris, a political scientist at Harvard's Kennedy School, notes, this halt is going to benefit Oxford and Cambridge, and many other academic institutions. Could this spark a historic rebalancing? For decades, the U.S. has been the world's education superpower. Now, as doors threaten to close, brains and billions may flow elsewhere, with consequences we're only beginning to understand. So what does this mean for you, watching at home? Whether you're a student, a parent, an educator, or just someone who cares about the future, there are powerful lessons to take from this battle at Harvard. First, the story is a reminder of just how quickly the world can change. Students make plans years in advance, families invest life savings, and researchers uproot their lives, only to see policy flip overnight. Resilience and flexibility aren't just personal strengths, they're necessities in today's global landscape. Second, pay attention to where power really lies. The Harvard case highlights the complex tug-of-war between universities and governments. Even world-famous institutions are not immune from political winds. Understanding this dynamic is crucial, whether you're choosing a university, funding research, or shaping policy. Third, the story underscores the value of networks. For centuries, students have flocked to Harvard and other U.S. schools to tap into networks that last a lifetime. In an uncertain era, finding ways to build and maintain those connections, across countries and even online, matters more than ever. If one door closes, others can open, but only if you're connected and proactive. And perhaps most importantly, build skills and resilience that travel with you. In an unpredictable world, credentials from elite universities are valuable, but so is the ability to adapt, collaborate, and solve problems in any environment. The most successful global citizens will be those who can turn obstacles into opportunities. There's a practical message here, too, for students with dreams of Harvard or similar institutions. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Apply to a range of schools, at home and abroad. Stay engaged with the latest immigration and education policies. And wherever you land, seek out mentors and networks who can help you weather sudden changes. Parents and educators can prepare students for this new reality by fostering cultural awareness, curiosity, and flexibility. Encourage them to see themselves as part of a global community, not just a national one. For policymakers and university leaders, the Harvard episode is a warning. the U.S. can no longer assume it is the only or even the preferred destination for the world's brightest minds. If America wants to keep its edge, it needs to recommit to openness, fairness, and the values that made its universities magnets in the first place. So, what happened next in the Harvard saga? After weeks of legal dueling, national headlines, and diplomatic anxiety, the federal court issued its ruling. In a landmark decision, the judge sided with Harvard, concluding that the government's action was arbitrary and capricious, and in violation of the principles of academic freedom protected by the First Amendment. The court's decision doesn't just restore Harvard's ability to enroll international students, it sends a signal to universities nationwide. Academic freedom, diversity, and the open exchange of ideas are not just ideals, they are rights, protected by law. The United States retains, for now, its status as a global magnet for talent. Princess Elisabeth returns to Cambridge for her second year, and the world exhales in relief. But the story leaves a powerful legacy and a warning. The battle at Harvard was a glimpse of how quickly America's leadership can be questioned, and how fiercely the world will compete for the next generation of leaders, innovators, and thinkers. The doors remain open for now, but the lesson is clear. Academic supremacy isn't guaranteed. It must be defended and renewed every day. Here's a little-known fact. During the battle, Ivy League admissions offices received the highest ever surge in transfer applications from international students, not to Harvard, but to rival universities in Canada and Europe. Even as normalcy is restored, the aftershocks of this episode are shaping choices and futures around the world. If you're inspired or even alarmed by this story, now is the time to act. Whether you're a student, a parent, or just a citizen of the world, stay informed. Advocate for policies that keep education open and global. Build bridges, not walls. And subscribe to our channel to